Hello, Facebook. How are you? I hope that all is well. My name is Jacqueline Francis, and I'm an author, award winning speaker, and educator. And welcome to my broadcast called Stop Sweeping It Under the Carpet. Now, I feel like I haven't done it for ages, and I think it's just been just over a week as I come back and from my holidays and try to get back onto the horse and to start things going. But I am clearly aware that it is Christmas. But my next guest, which is Chris Greenfield, that I'm waiting for, did promise me an interview. And so I'm hoping that he will be able to join me today. Well, in fact, he will be joining me today. As we go back to a topic that I mentioned back, I think it was in October, and where I put it out there. I wanted to invite some men onto my broadcast to talk about why some men, not all, find it difficult to express their emotions. And I know at the time that Chris was going to be on that broadcast with me, but unfortunately he wasn't well, so we postponed it. So today he will be joining me as he shares his experiences. So I'm just adding Chris now. Robert. Hi, Robert. How are you? I hope that you are well and that you are, I don't know whether you celebrate Christmas or not, and you may be preparing for it. So, yes. Hi, how are you doing?
Hello, I'm well. I hope you can hear me.
I can hear you. I can hear you fine. I'm just going to double check on my laptop that we've got you loud and clear. So, how are you?
I'm really well, thank you. Especially with current situations, I'm really focused. I'm a lot more focused than what I ever have been in the past, probably I'd say 6 months. And yeah, you know, things are moving forward. I've got some really exciting things that are coming up, and yeah, there's so much happening. It's so busy, but it's so productive too, which is the best thing, because
Busy
you've
is
got
good.
yeah, you've got to be productive as well, and I'm keeping as productive as possible, connecting with as many people as possible. Obviously, I'm doing my broadcast as well. I've got
Yeah,
interviews coming out of my ears at the moment as well. So, yeah, so
brilliant. Brilliant.
it's really cool. It's really cool. Yeah, I've
Right,
got a
right.
really exciting one coming up as well, which I'm doing in the new year. So it's literally my biggest one. So. I'm going to be announcing
Well,
that
before we
within.
get to that, I will
Yeah.
ask you about that later on. But before we get to that, for those of you who've just jumped on and who will be watching on the replay, I have my guest here, Chris Greenfield, who is going to be sharing his opinions and his thoughts as to why he thinks that, you know, why men find it difficult to share or talk about openly about their emotions. I'm not saying that they don't talk about it at all, and maybe they do, but in a in a group of friends. So, Chris, would you just like quickly to introduce yourself?
Definitely. So, obviously, my name is Chris Greenfield. I'm the Breaking Boundaries mindset coach. The reason why I've called it Breaking Boundaries is because within my past, which you're going to find out, I had set myself boundaries, which I personally had to physically and mentally break. I went
Mm,
through things that a lot of people would not have experienced, and obviously there's a lot of pains that we go through, a lot of emotional pains, a lot of physiological pains as well that we all go through,
mm,
and it's something that I believe that we all should have to go back and reflect and actually act on. And this is something that I find that many people tend to not do, is to act on their fears, act on the adversity, act on, actually face into the adversity rather than actually running away from it, which I find,
right. So why do you think that is? Okay, so you're talking about adversaries,
yes.
adversity. So the topic is, why do men find it difficult to talk about their emotions? Is it because it is dependent on what adversity that they have gone through, or generally they just don't like to talk openly about it? Because you know, us women, we will talk till
Yeah.
them come. You know, we talk quite openly about it. You
I
know, so what is it? about men that they have problems doing that?
I believe it's an ego thing, very much an ego thing. Ego has its ego and pride. You know, I was playing in a band probably going on 8, 9 years ago, nearly 10 years ago. I had massive ego and pride. I wanted to do everything myself. I wanted no help whatsoever, and so that gave me that sense of I'm a man. I can do this by myself. I don't need to ask for help. Um, and through this personal development
Is
journey,
that because as a child, our parents, you know, not intentionally has says that, you're a boy, you're a man, that you should be able to do this. And if you don't do this, or, if you don't show your emotions or whatever, then you may be deemed as
I
weak or
think,
something like that.
yeah, I think it is very much social conditioning as well. We see it on the
Mm.
TV all the time. You know, all these adverts, like, oh, like be the man, be the man, Gillette, look, whatever product it is, you got to be the man. You got to be the, you've got to be this person who's strong, who's resilient, who's, it gets thrown around so many times. It really does. It gets thrown about so much that people have this set in their minds that they have to be this type of person.
Mm.
And
So, so you mentioned, that men have to be seen to be strong and resilient. So what impact is that having, what impact would that have on a person? Because they want to share their emotions, but they have to be seen as strong as and resilient. What
yeah,
impact would that have?
I mean, from my own personal experiences, stress, anxiety, depression, those are
Yeah.
three key elements. Of course, stress brings on it then brings on procrastination, especially if you've got a business. There's a lot of pressure on you to actually turn up and show up and actually, have a smile on your face.
Yes, yes,
Literally,
yes. So a lot of
just
times,
just to have a smile on your face is hard enough when you're going through something. And then
yes,
there's the anxiety of there's the anxiety of comparison. What are people going to think about me? What are people going to understand about what my intention is towards, like, not in just helping myself but helping other people too. Um, and especially
mm,
with the normal working 9 to 5 man, like with the man that usually goes to work and has a family, and I think there's a lot of stress because obviously there's the support. They have to support their children, they
the
have to support
family.
their family,
Yeah,
and
yes,
that
yes.
alone is enough stress as it is. So there's that persona as well. There's that. I'd say we us men, we label ourselves too much, and we put too
Okay.
much on us. We put too much pressure on ourselves to actually understand that we need to be ourselves as unique as possible.
Because I've always wondered, I mean, I've often wondered, an emotional person. I may not be crying all the time, but I do tend to be quite emotional. So, and I often thought, well, how do men channel those emotions? And as you said, just like women, I guess, but I think the percentage of men in terms of stress and anxiety and depression is much higher than it is for women. And I think also, the suicide rate for men in terms of
Oh, it's
depression
huge.
is
Oh, it's
higher
huge.
than women.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
I've
Yeah.
looked at the
So
figures.
before, before you answer that question,
Mm.
that statement or that question, some people have just jumped on, so I'd just like to say hello. So if you've just jumped on, my name's Jacqueline Francis, and I'm here with Chris Greenfield, and we're going back to a topic that I had initially started back in October, where Chris was meant to join me, but unforeseeable circumstances, but he's here with me now. And that topic was, why do some men find it difficult to talk about their emotions? And so Chris is just explaining his opinions. Mind you, this is just his opinions, his thoughts. So I'd just like to welcome Tonetta, who's just jumped on, and Pat Reed, who is watching, and Robert also, who is watching. And those of you who catch us on the replay, please do put a comment. Um, so Tonetta's just said it's is much higher for men. You're right. Of course, yes, it is. So Chris, you were about to explain why it's so, you talked about the figures, you looked at the figures, why you think it's much higher for men than women.
I looked at the figures, and it's around 64% of men which are aged from 25 to 46, um,
Mm. Wow.
which is shocking. And it's mostly due to it's actually through a situation that I've been through, and how I've become one of like out of
Those statistics.
out of that statistic. I don't know how that's happened, but um, I was very close. I was very, very close to be part of that statistic.
Right.
And if it wasn't for me reaching out and being like having a support system and actually reaching out and going, I need this help. I really need this help. Like, please, can somebody help me? And again,
Mm.
if it wasn't for actually getting into um, network marketing as well, I got to thank network marketing for that, because that's what got me into my personal development stage, and that's what got me into
Right.
improving myself on that daily basis, so that I could actually move forward. Um, and again, this has built new connections up, because we wouldn't be connected as well. So
Exactly, exactly. So look, so let's just backtrack a little bit, because you quoted 64% of men, um, in terms of committing suicide. That's committing suicide, yes, between the ages of
yes.
25 to 46. And you just stated that you are one of those statistics.
Oh,
So,
I thought I
well,
was at
you could have
least.
been.
I could have been.
Yes, you could have
I could
been.
have been.
Exactly.
I was
So,
very
could you
close
just share?
too.
Oh, so are you able to share some of your story, part of that story, as to why you could have been part of that statistic? What actually happened to put you at that point?
Oh, blimey! 5 years ago. Well, it's about 5 years ago, 5.5 years ago, nearly.
Mm,
I was actually in a toxic relationship
mm,
with my little girl's mum. And what
mm,
happened is that I was taken out of the home. I was taken out of where we were living, and so obviously having your blood, like your flesh and blood, and your own child, like you're not able to see your own child for months, even years.
mm,
Um, that was the point for me where, in the beginning, I was just like, I don't know how to cope with this. I'm so overwhelmed
mm.
with knowing how to find a solution for this situation, for this um, kind of part in my life. You know,
Yeah.
I had this vision of having a family. I had this vision of having a solid family, because I didn't grow up with a family. Oh, I didn't really grow up with a family. My dad left when I was 4. He tried seeing me, but I just didn't want, because of what he was doing, and there was stories
Right.
being flown around. So
Mm,
I didn't know who to believe when I was younger, and so
mm.
essentially history repeated itself. Um,
Um,
and so I felt so guilty within myself with the fact that it happened again. Um, but
mm,
it happened on the side that there were several court cases, and I was being belittled time and time and time and time and time again.
mm,
And even before they happened, I hit the darkest stage of
mm,
depression. I was so low. I was probably in the darkest place I've ever been in my life. And
mm,
even walking out in the street, I would
mm.
be thinking, right, I'm going to get in front of that bus. I'm going to
Oh,
actually get in front of that car. I'm going to do something. And then
mm.
I would think, what would your little girl think? What would you,
Right.
what would
So it was a little girl that stopped you from
it's yeah
committing
yeah
suicide.
it's my daughter that actually has stopped me,
Mm,
and it's my daughter that's actually kept me going. um,
mm.
and she's only recently just turned 6 as well. So it's huge.
Okay.
You know,
So she was obviously, you say she's only 6 now, so, and you said this happened to 5 years ago, so,
yeah,
she's only 1 year old. The fact that at the time when, you were being dragged through the courts and all you wanted to do was to be able to see your daughter,
literally.
all you wanted, you didn't want that same history repeating itself, as you said, with regards to your father. You didn't want to be an absent father. And many men, I guess, would just have walked away. It is what it is, but and just got on with their lives. But as you said, it had that huge impact on you, and I'm glad to see that you were able to um, move through that. So the question is, if anyone out there is going maybe through the similar thing, how were you able to maneuver yourself through that? Who did you talk to initially to maneuver yourself through that?
It was actually somebody who's actually come on here. It's my friend Kaylee. At the time we were very, very much connected. I was rebuilding my
Mm.
life once again. Obviously back to square one again for the third
Yeah.
time, but moving back in with parents and stuff like this and rebuilding
Yeah.
my life. I was
Yeah.
working. I was kind of just fed up, and really, that like Kaylee had supported me in such a way that nobody else had done before. And
Right.
I think I spent so much time surrounded by her and everybody who she was surrounding me with. I wanted to get a piece of it myself. And
Mm.
so I got so fed up with the way I was feeling, with how I was actually really, truly like my emotion was. I was at the time. It was all just something that I found a massive blur. Like I think when you're going through that transition, you don't understand like the situation. You understand the situation, but you don't understand the solution. But you just go and do it. And that's
Yes.
that's exactly what I did. And I didn't really think about it. I was just like, you know what, I'm just gonna do it. Take a massive, massive risk and just do it. Um,
Mm.
and it's that way of thinking that just flipped. I was just like, right, I need to stop sitting down
Right.
on my
Yes.
thoughts. I have to stop sitting down on me and actually bring me back up. Um,
Right. So can I just ask quickly, Chris? You said Kaylee was the one who supported you.
yeah,
So, what type of support did she give you? Was it just a matter of being a listening ear? Because as you said, at that time you were in a dark place, that
very much
very
so.
dark place.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you did you seek Kaylee out, or did Kaylee find you? What
She,
type of support did she
I've
give you?
I've I've known Kaylee since school, and
Oh, right.
even at school we connected, but we didn't connect as much as we do now, and that was
Yes.
something that I found that built our friendship even more. Um, I found that there was more of a connection. There was so much more there than there was at school. So
Okay.
through school, like we've both shared vulnerabilities with each other, and that's what we consistently do. I mean, we haven't seen each other now for I think it's well over a year now, but soon we'll be, meeting up again, and it'll happen again, and
Yes.
we're both going to sort of just really really start to enjoy getting back to what it was in the old times and like
Exactly.
back then.
Exactly.
And
Okay. So can
yeah,
I just
so
quickly,
go for it.
because there's a few comments coming up that I do want to address. I'm not ignoring you guys, but I just want to hear Chris's story. So Tonetta says, thanks for sharing your story, Chris. Robert says, I would feel guilty without anything ever happening, and it was written all over my face. I didn't know that personality traits are easily seen in the face. Robert also says, I was 20. After 9 months of therapy, I realized that I would have my hands full, keeping myself on and even keeping myself on. I decided then I would never have children. I wanted to make sure there was no chance of, oh, of, uh, That's a bit sad, isn't it? I wanted to make sure there was no chance of that trait moving forward. I'm sorry to hear that, Robert. You know, I mean, I'm sure you would have made a fantastic father, you
Yeah.
know, but you thought that you didn't want that trait to carry on. And I
Mm.
get it because, you know, as you said, Chris, and that's why you were at that place. You saw history repeating itself, and you didn't want that for yourself. So I guess
I
I can
felt guilty.
understand.
I felt massive guilt, especially as a person a guy who's meant to be providing, as a guy
Yeah,
who's meant to have everything together. Everything fell
yeah,
apart. And
mm,
this is something that I find that a lot of men also have, is this perception of everything going well, and then it all falls apart, and then it just crumbles after that. And
wow.
if without that support that I had, I would have crumbled even more. I'd probably think um, there would be one time where I probably would have probably OD'd on something. I was going out drinking as well through
Oh
that
my gosh.
time,
And
and
that's, and
there
you
was
know,
there was a
people
lot
do
lot of
tend to,
things going on. Yeah,
yeah, and people do tend to do that to compensate, do a lot of drinking and become drunk to try to drown out or um to block out what's actually happening to them. And you know, clearly it
yeah,
doesn't work.
yeah. I
Um
I
so,
I, I literally masked everything. I was acting as if everything was okay. I was acting as if, yeah, like everything was all airy fairy, but nothing was
but we
even
do tend
real.
to do
So
We do tend to do that. I mean, okay, the topic we're talking about is men finding it difficult to express their emotions, and you just mentioned about you know, drinking excessively and trying to block things out, and you know, sort of like wearing this mask as if everything is okay. And we all tend to do that, but maybe men more so than others than women because you know, men find it difficult to express their emotions, and they have to be seen to be this you know, this macho person, this strong person, and you know, and as they say, you know, showing your emotions or crying or anything like that, it's not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of
mm,
strength because you're able to do that. You know, so I just want to add another comment that Robert has says. Okay, so for those of you who watch us on the replay, I have my guest here, Chris, who is talking about you know his opinions as to why he thinks men find it difficult to express their emotions. And Robert has just said, I was there last week, darker than anything previously experienced, but I learned today it was a supplement I should never have taken, lowering my blood sugar to the point that I couldn't get out of bed. Well, I'm glad to hear that it was just the supplement and that, you know, there's nothing else that was clouding your judgment. Um, Tonetta says, awesome, Chris. Tonetta, I'm still waiting for you to get back to me. So please do get back to me. I'm glad your friend was there for you. So Tonetta says that she's glad that Kaylee was there for you. Um, yes, Robert, you should be an awesome father. Yes, you. I'm sure you would be an awesome father. I agree with
definitely,
that.
definitely,
Yeah, Robert,
it's
from Robert, I would be in a group people, just standing near them, and an accusation would be made, and they would look at me, and even ask if I was the one that did whatever it was. Okay, it was timid. It was turmeric. I like turmeric. So his supplement that you were taking was turmeric that made you feel a bit depressed. I do like turmeric, but I guess you've got to take it in moderation. Um, so
definitely in moderation.
yeah, exactly. So, yeah, so Chris is here explaining to me or sharing his story as to, you know, his experiences as to he was nearly became that statistic of men committing suicide based on what happened to him. So it was 600 milligrams of it.
6,000, was it 600, 6,000 milligrams of it?
1,000 milligrams. Oh my God, that's a lot. But yeah,
Wow.
in closing, so let's just backtrack a bit. So so you've shared your experiences. You've told us of the type of support that Kaylee gave to you, your
Yeah.
good friend Kaylee that gave to you. So you're now a coach, and you mentioned also that you want your clients or men in general,
Yeah.
you know, to talk about their emotions. So what do you teach your clients about expressing their emotions?
In terms of what social conditioning has done to us,
Mm,
social conditioning is such a massive part that plays in trapping of the emotions, trapping of vulnerability.
mm,
And it's such a massive part that I really, really embracing is the fact that bringing my client's story out, um, yes, it brings certain emotions, certain memories, certain situations back up again, but it's a way of
mm,
learning to release it. It's the way to tell yourself that I'm actually releasing this. I'm actually releasing my story. I'm detaching myself from the emotion, but I'm going to tell you what has happened to me and why I have overcome what I've been through. And
but I think also, Chris, because there's this word or phrase that's bantered around, emotional intelligence. I'm sure
yeah,
you've heard of it. Yes.
I've had that flown around recently as well. It's come back again
Yes.
all of a sudden. It's kind
Yeah,
of
absolutely.
recirculated. So
Yeah, exactly. You know, emotional intelligence. And it's for us to be men and women, you know, everyone to be aware of their emotions, um, in order to be able to deal with it
yes,
and to be able to label what is that emotion that you're going through.
yes,
So once you've been made aware of that emotion and you can label it, then you're in a better place to manage it.
it's a sit back observation and really really find that solution.
Mm,
It's about
yeah.
finding that solution or finding that person who can become accountable to you. I really
Mm,
find that if there's a tool out there that's going to really help you, go
mm,
towards the tool. Like I was talking about anxiety and how people fear because they fear investment, they fear investment within themselves to grow within
yeah.
themselves to actually understand
Yeah.
themselves even more. And
Mm,
anxiety can be a really good thing. Okay, I was reading this. I'm not sure who it was from, but I was reading that anxiety. There's a positive to anxiety, and it's actually the excitement of you growing. It's actually the excitement of um, your future growth and learning something you don't know. And
mm,
um, I believe that we perceive it as a negative because of the social conditioning that's been put through by our parents and by our peers at school. And so
yeah.
essentially we have this perception of this negative um, emotion and feeling when we hear the
Yeah.
word when we see the word anxiety. Okay,
Mm,
and this is something that I think a lot of people should be able to practice is what they're telling themselves when they're saying certain things,
mm,
because when you talk to somebody, when you're having a conversation with somebody, it speaks back to you. The vibration
yes.
of what you're talking, the energy of what you're
Yes.
talking, speaks back to you
Yeah.
immediately,
So
and
if
that's
you're
something.
saying, if you're saying, well, I am depressed, then you will be depressed because that's
Yeah,
what you're sending out.
yeah,
Yes. Yeah.
yeah,
So
exactly.
exactly. Yeah, I get what you're saying. A few more people have just jumped on. Lulu Roy, thank you so much for joining us. We're just talking about how men find it difficult to express their emotions. And Chris has kindly come on and given his opinion as to why he thinks that is, and also to share his own experiences and how he managed to come through it, navigate his way through it to become a coach and speaker. And now he has his clients who you are now telling them and showing them how important it is to talk about and express your emotions in order for you to move more forward. Because we have this,
Sorry.
that's all right.
Okay.
Because as you said, we have been conditioned. Um, we have been conditioned. So there's a comment that Tonetta was saying. Yeah, right. Social conditioning has done a doozy on many people. Is that an American term? I don't know. Is that right?
Yeah,
Doozy?
yeah,
What does
yeah,
that
yeah,
mean?
yeah. That is, yeah. I think it's done. It essentially means it's done one on them.
Ah, oh, right.
It's basically kind of hindered them. Essentially, I think that's
Okay.
what she means. I think with social conditioning is such, like I said, it plays a massive part in our growth, and we have to
Yes.
unlearn these things to
Yes.
actually
Yeah.
grow into ourselves rather than what other people want us to grow us to be. And
Exactly. Exactly.
and this is something that I think a lot of people, especially a lot of upcoming entrepreneurs, are really, really, yeah, limiting beliefs, definitely. Um,
Yes. Yeah.
they're very much, again, like Robert said, belief systems. I could go into belief
Yes.
systems as well. Belief systems,
But
again,
let's leave that to another time.
yeah, yeah. It all stems from social conditioning. It all stems from what we've been told, and we act on what's been told to us rather than acting
Yes.
on what we need to do, right? Rather than acting on what we know within ourselves that's right for us.
Mm.
Anybody can say no, anybody can say yes,
Exactly.
but you have to understand your self-worth to actually say yes or no to something.
Exactly. I'd just like to thank Tanetta for all the hearts that you're sharing with us. Thank
Yeah,
you so
thank you.
much. I love the hearts. So please do keep tapping on the hearts. So yeah, I mean, we're going to close it up now. But you know, I'm trying to get people to share their emotions or talk about their stories and not hide because it's an experience that you've gone through. And yes, it was hurtful. But I want to know how, you feel much lighter when you start talking about your experiences or sharing your emotions.
I
Do you know
definitely
what I
agree.
mean?
I
And
definitely agree.
yeah,
It always will help to talk to somebody about an
yeah.
experience you're going through, about something you
Mm.
may be feeling, because again, that energy, that feeling, that emotion that's inside of you, it's just going to build up like a volcano,
Yes.
and you're just going to erupt. You are literally just going to
And,
erupt, because I used to be
as you
that kind of
said,
person. I used to be
exactly.
that
And
kind of
as you
person.
said, look what happened when you didn't. Do you know what I mean? Or, when you were fighting for your daughter. Look what happened. Look what could have happened had Kaylee not been there. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
because she was there
I,
to
I want to. I
support
want
you.
to thank. I do want to thank my family as well for
Yeah,
putting up
of
with me as
course.
well,
Okay.
because they
I
have
just
been
said
there
Katie because
quite a
you just
lot.
mentioned her. So yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I do want to thank
So
my family as well, because again, without that support, it goes by support systems. If you haven't got a support system, find somebody who will support. That's that's
absolutely.
that's it. And it's the fear of not asking for help. That's exactly what a lot of men have, is the fear of not
Yeah,
asking for the help. They think they are
yeah,
better doing it alone, um, and they think uh, in fact, it goes with a lot of businesses too. A lot of upcoming entrepreneurs, a lot of upcoming like business people, they think they can do it alone. We all can't do this alone. We have to get collaborating. We have to get into a community. We have to help each other. And this is
yeah.
something that I'm actually honing in on right now, is the fact that we build community. We build emotions, that we uplift everybody. Everybody's part of
Mm,
something, but but collectively we're part of something bigger, because we are all human beings and we
yeah.
all have
And we're not meant
emotions.
to. Exactly, exactly. I just want to go back to a comment. Stephanie Cox, I think that's how, I hope I pronounced that correctly. She says she wants to share her story, but she's also gone on to say, emotions, I have depression now. Um, Stephanie, I know that we're talking about men and their emotions, but of course, it does apply to everybody. And as Chris has suggested, find someone to talk to. From my understanding, you're saying that you have depression now, and I guess maybe you're on medication, but I think it also helps to talk. Maybe you may be in a position to go to therapy, and if not, then find a family member or a friend to talk to, or even just write things down, have a journal and write things down. I mean, Chris, as you know, I've done my anthology in a book, just in case those people don't know, and I wrote my story, and you know that helped me tremendously. And I know that you're writing. I'm not sure what your book is about. I know you're writing your book,
Yeah.
but you know, I don't want to go off track, but we are talking about we are. I mean, I'll let you mention that later on, but you know, you know, we are talking about emotions here, and it's don't feel any shame
Yeah,
or fear of judgment. Um, you know, by talking openly about how you're feeling, no one's going to judge you. No one's going to think that you know, because we have this thing that what people are going to think about it, you know. But I mean, and those are just your thoughts because the other person would not be thinking about it. You know, I created this platform, Stop Sweeping It Under the Carpet, and everybody sort of loves the term, and it just came to me because I was having this conversation and people would just say, I just said, well, why don't we just stop sweeping things under the carpet? And, you know, and it's easier said than done. But once we stop sweeping those things under the carpet, you know, we feel much freer. And as you
definitely.
mentioned, the things that we are sweeping under the carpet are the anxiety, the depression, you know, and after a while, you're going to trip up on those things. And the tripping up of those things is that place where you may end up committing suicide. Do you know what I mean? And we don't
Definitely.
want that to happen.
I've
So
I've
please stop sweeping things under the carpet.
definitely. I mean, I'd like to add something that I've actually um been listening to, which I literally just finished about a month ago, actually. Brené Brown, The Power of Vulnerability. That book is phenomenal. That
What's it called?
Brené Brown, The Power of Vulnerability.
Okay,
Really,
okay.
really good. Like she's talking at one of her events, and it's I think it's a massive week event or something that she's doing workshop, and she talks about shame. She talks about vulnerability. She talks about how social conditioning controls us and how we have to unlearn to learn again, and to really break free of what is being told to us rather than actually going, well, I know my worth. This isn't
Yeah,
serving me. So yeah, it's
yeah.
really, really good.
I mean,
Something
if you
that
can drop the name, if you can drop the name of the book in the comments, that'll be great for, you know, for those who would want to know or read about it later on. Um, Robert has just Lulu says, not just men, dear, some women too. Yeah, I do understand that, Lulu. But I had just to recap, I had a couple of months ago put wanting men to come on to express why they find it difficult to speak about their emotions. So I know that we as women speak about openly about our emotions, but I was asking some men to come on, and Chris kindly offered to do that. So I am aware that you know it's not just men; it is women.
oh, completely, it's everybody.
Yeah,
You know,
cool.
we all experience this emotion, and it's a universal thing, but there's also a universal solution around it.
Yeah.
And I think that especially training myself, especially with my mindset, especially with my productivity on who I am, understanding my body as well as my mind, and really putting the work in is really quite important. Something that I had to do continuously over like a 3-4 year period. And people think that your mindset's going to change within a day. No, it's
No,
it's
no.
not.
I
It's not. There, there are
we've
a lot
been
of people looking
conditioned
for a
to
quick fix, aren't there? There are a lot that are
exactly.
looking for a quick fix. You're not going to get the quick fix that you want because at the end of the day, it didn't take me a quick fix. I know that's what I say to my clients all the time. I say, look, at the end of the day, this is not going to be a quick fix. This is not something
Mm.
that's going to make you into some incredible someone who's
As you
really really
said,
taking things to the next level quickly,
but as you
but
said,
you are
but as you
going to
said,
learn.
Chris, we've been conditioned to think this way for years anyway. Do you know what I mean? So, you know, it's going to take, more than just one session
Yeah.
to be able to change your mindset about something.
Yeah.
I just want to quickly read a couple of comments. So for those of you who's joined us on the replay, I've got my guest here, Chris Greenfield, who's given his opinions on why he thinks that some men find it difficult to express their emotions, and he's also provided some of his experiences. So Robert says, my ability to ask specific questions has been just plain blocked. It has just suggested that they are blocked because I'm not ready to deal with them. Deal with them. I can't remember. I have to wish to remember them. I'm afraid of the truth. Oh, wow. Have you got any comment towards that, Chris?
I think,
He's a
yeah, when it comes to the truth, oh,
yeah.
blimey, the truth, the truth. It's
Is that
the
another
truth in
subject? Has it
itself.
another topic?
That is
Yeah.
definitely another subject. I've got, there's so much content that we can talk about. I've got so much value to give anyway. So there's going to be
Right.
plenty more,
Okay. So
plenty more.
let's leave that for another day, or maybe
Yeah.
that could be a topic for one of your program. But thank you for that, Robert. Tonetta says, right, Stephanie, I'm here. We've chatted before. So, Stephanie, reach out to someone as you've already reached out to Tonetta. And please do, please do, if you want to jump onto my broadcast, please do get in contact with me, do inbox. Please do share, guys, please do share the broadcast because you don't know who you might be helping. And it's always good to share anyway. Love it, Jacqueline, says Tonetta. Robert says, I do remember one event, but everything points to it being a regular occurring event. Okay,
Okay.
so
All
you
right. I can actually answer that. I know what the truth is. I just don't want to relive it over 6 years. Okay. So essentially, what you would need to do, you would need to write it out. Okay. You would need to write out what the situation is that you need to overcome. What you need to really really put your mind focus on. And what you need to do then is you need to read it out to yourself, okay, as hard as it's going to be, because I had to do this with my own story.
yeah,
Read it out to yourself, and you have to release. You have to release that feeling from you. You have to release it. If you don't release it, the energy is going to still be inside of you.
yeah,
You have to learn to let go of this. You have to learn to understand that what you're holding on to could potentially be stopping you from moving forward. You know, it took me such a long time to actually go and do this myself. Granted,
yeah,
I understand how long it's gonna take, but when you put the courage forward to actually write out something that may be holding you back, something that you have a memory of, write out that memory, read it out to yourself, maybe even throw it in the bin, rip it up. You know, that's that. The past is done.
yeah,
The past, and
yeah,
you release that feeling. That feeling of relief is such an empowering feeling. Um,
mm,
and it sounds so basic. It sounds so basic, but this is what my
but it's
clients
quite,
really, really find the effect of, and that's what I do. I don't do a lot of this automation. You know, I have an email list, but again, I only give out what I have, and they directly come to me. And
right,
this is the thing. I do very very old school. I do pen and paper. I don't do, uh, you know, I do pen and
pen and
paper.
paper.
I do human to human transaction. That's where the main effect is, and when
Mm,
because people get more value from seeing your face rather than actually from seeing a recorded video. Granted, I've got a
mm.
YouTube channel, but I put my live videos on there so that they can actually get a human experience
Right,
from me.
okay, fantastic, fantastic. So yes, I mean, I did say in closing before, like about 10 minutes ago, but I love this interaction. I mean, this is fantastic interaction. Thank you so much, guys, for jumping on and for commenting and for sharing your thoughts. Robert has said this message to Stephanie, just one small step a day. And you don't start out being so effective at being uplifting. It can be rather awkward if it doesn't go well. Um, Oops, what happened there? Lulu says, yes, indeed, I understand. I know what that truth is. I just don't want to relive over 6 years of it. Okay. And for some people, that's what they will do. Some people will struggle or don't want to relive it. And they've put it in a box and they've put it away and they just don't want to go back there. But
Definitely.
when you do that, are you being your true or authentic self? I know it's a bit of a cliche. Are you living the best life? Are you still wearing this mask? Does that thing that you're putting away have an impact on how you are going through your daily life? What you say, what you do, and your whole being. And I respect Robert for saying that quite openly, that
Definitely.
he
I have
doesn't
a lot
want
of
to
respect
relive
over
it.
that.
Yeah,
I believe
exactly.
in positive reframing as well. Reframing your mind from a negative perspective into a positive perspective, and really overviewing and switching one memory to. This is the thing. Going on to Stephanie, I've completely flipped now. My thoughts have gone to Stephanie's comment. We have to be ready to let go. Stephanie, I can
Mm,
tell you now, I was not ready to let go. I was never ready to let go. I just had to do it.
yeah,
And
yeah,
with
yeah.
everything in life, people say, "Oh, I have to be ready for this. I have to." That again is another social conditioning that we have plugged inside of us. We have to unplug that. That's essentially a weed growing inside of us, right? If you think about
Mm,
it, we have this social conditioning, which essentially is like a weed, and it's growing in us, and it's toxic. Okay, this is
mm,
toxic stuff that we have to unlearn, and we have to pull that weed out, dig deep, deep
mm,
deep down inside your stomach, inside your emotion. There
mm,
is lumps of gold and jewels that are coming out into you, that are coming out
mm,
into your voice, into your message, into your intention to inspire, to impact, to make a massive, massive change in this world because of your own vision. And if you let that weed control you, I can tell that when you are saying you're going to be ready to let that weed, when you're ready, you're going to pull that weed out. But you can't be ready to pull that weed out. You have to just pull it out, and
mm.
that's it.
Yeah.
We have to. We've all got jewels inside of us, and our emotion is all channeled within our stomach, and
Yes, yes,
it's
yeah,
all
yeah.
channeled within our stomach. And if you're very, if you've got any spiritual kind of background, I mean, I've practiced a little bit spiritual myself and
Mm,
experienced it on a personal basis. And when you feel sad, when you feel hurt, when you feel like something's gone bad, you have a bad stomach. You have a hurting
mm,
stomach. You cannot eat. You have these feelings of anxiety. You have these feelings of sadness.
wow.
This overwhelming feeling. And
Mm, mm,
it's not about having that like having that courage to be ready. It's about having that courage to do it now and
mm. And
facing.
even before, yeah, even before, Stephanie has says we have to be
Mm,
ready to let go. But even before that, you have to make a decision.
yeah, yeah,
You have to,
you
there
do, you
has to
do.
be,
Yeah,
make that decision.
yeah. It's once you decide, you act.
Yeah,
Once you decide,
yeah.
you act. And if you're procrastinating on that decision, you've already made that decision, but you haven't taken any action onto it.
Action. Yeah, yeah. And as I said, you have to. I mean, she says, wow, she said, crying. Oh my gosh, I hope you're not crying at the
I
moment,
I
Stephanie.
I believe. I just hope that we can. I just hope you can heal from this. That's all I want
Yeah.
you to do is to heal
But
from
that's
this.
all exactly, Stephanie. So, reach out, we're all here for you. Chris is here. Tonetta says she's been there. I'm here. As Chris said earlier on, we can't do it on our own. Whatever it is, we have to work collaboratively together. So please, Stephanie, please don't suffer in silence. You don't have to suffer in silence.
Nobody suffers in
Reach
silence.
out. No, you don't. You don't, and there's no shame, there's no embarrassment. Don't feel as if people are going to judge you. They are not. We are not. Um, I don't know how
No
far or
judgment
how
here.
long I don't know how far or how long you've had depression um, for, and the reasons why you've have or suffering from depression. But as I said, sometimes just talking, and that's why people go to therapy or counseling. And maybe that's too expensive for some, but reach out to others who will be able to help you. So thanks. Oh, Teo's just joined us. Thank you, Teo. We were just talking about emotions and why some men find it difficult to express their feelings and emotions openly. But we seem to be going off tangent a little bit, which
We,
is not surprising. Which is not surprising. But yeah, in summing up, I'm going to sum up now. It's been a great broadcast, and thank you guys for joining us and for interacting. Um, Chris has just been speaking about his own experiences and his opinions as to, the emotions that he's gone through and why some men find it difficult to express their emotions. It will be an ongoing
can
topic.
can I just add, like, a lot of the tools and a lot of the experiences that I've put into this broadcast, you can use in terms of expressing yourself to really take out that fear of being
Mm.
vulnerable, and to actually embrace your confidence in actually, guided meditation definitely helps. Oh, I love meditation.
Oh, yeah.
I've got my crystals back as well, and I'm just like, yes. So the
Fantastic.
power is
Yeah.
within. So yeah, it's going to, it, all these experiences, all these tools that I've given you, put them into practice, implement them. I want everybody who's been on here, those of you that are needing healing within yourself, and wanting to get out of that fear of progressing, that fear of growth, that fear of um, becoming vulnerable. Okay, that fear of shame. I want you to practice these tools and these experiences that I've that
Yeah.
I've given you, and I want you to personally message me. Okay, I want you to personally message me and tell me the results within the next 4 to 8 weeks. And I really want, like,
Wouldn't
I
take
really want
that
to see
long.
how. I think the process will start, and you will start feeling the process.
Mm.
Within the next few months as well. Drop me a message back again. Come back
Mm.
to me in 6 months, and then see how you feel. See how much your life has changed. See how much better you feel within yourself, because real likes real, and when you're bottling things up, you put a face on. Essentially, you're just putting a mask on yourself.
That mask. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's that
You
dreaded mask
sugarcoat.
again.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well, you
yeah, literally.
sugarcoat it. So Lulu has just said other people's feeling can be picked up or transferred. Empaths are known for this. Don't suffer
I'm an
alone.
empath.
Thank you so much for that,
I'm an empath.
Lulu. Thank
Yeah,
you. Yeah.
I'm an empath,
And
and
said guided meditation. So Robert's going to be jumping off now because he's got a Facebook Live, I guess, in about 8 minutes. So yeah, I mean, thank you so much, Chris, for sharing your experiences and giving your
pleasure.
thoughts and opinions. Guys, please do share and with others if you think that they may benefit. And again, as Chris said, please do try some of the things that he's mentioned and do inbox him and get back to him in about 6 to 8 weeks time, and just so that he can find out how you are from this day and up until 6 weeks time.
And
So
keep
is
in
there
touch
anything
as
else?
well.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. So is there anything else that you'd like to add in terms of emotions? Anyone that's suffering in silence, particularly men, especially when we're coming up to the Christmas period, Chris? You
Mm.
know, that's, even myself, oh my God, all this Christmas thing that's all these, oh, it's just driving me crazy,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, especially this time of year, it's very hard for myself.
it
Obviously,
is, it
like with
is.
with my situation and with everything that's
Yeah,
gone on within me, within my past and stuff. And I think that
yeah.
um, it's about it's a tough one.
It's
This time of the year, it's a tough one. I can't really explain it within myself because I'm going through that
it's tough.
process
Let me
anyway.
explain. Let me try and explain because it's a tough one simply because, you know, Christmas is the time they talk about family, getting
Mm,
together, family and friends. If you haven't gotten together throughout the whole year, this is the time when you get together. But for some, including myself, you know, it's not a happy time of the year. Do you know what I mean? Because I'm
mm,
not with my family, you know, so it's hard for me to get into the spirit of things. But it is what it is, and I have to make the most of it.
completely.
But exactly. So, you know, and I was just watching earlier on, you know, people who are homeless, people who don't have families, you
Yeah,
know, and it's winter, you know, and it's not joyful for many, and I think we have to be mindful of that. And this is probably where the time where the emotions are high, and if emotions are high, again, depression, anxiety, suicide rates will probably rise as well.
yeah,
Um, so again, you know, these seasonal things does affect people's emotions. And you know, again, if we can talk openly about it or talk to somebody about it to lessen the pain, so to speak.
definitely, definitely. So be open. And Stephanie, yes, I will message you about SAD. Um, I've actually had people around me who actually suffered with SAD. Well, not suffered, but they've
Yeah,
had the effects of SAD,
yeah,
and it's something that I find that this solution is so simple. This solution is so simple, but it will bring so much more to you, and it will
mm,
uplift you so much. And
yeah,
it's not a tool that I have, but it's something that I know, and something that I know that you
yeah,
can potentially purchase. It's actually a little light. It's like a UV light essentially. So when there's not
yeah,
much light, because that SAD is basically transferred through the weather and through the darkness and through the times and how dark it
yeah,
gets at night. So
mm,
essentially, it's all about getting. It's much like my. It's pretty much like my lighting rig. I'm, I'm surprised. It's about the same. It's about the same wattage as well as my lighting rig, but that's the thing. It's the lack of vitamin D within you. So we'll have a little bit more of a chat.
yeah. As you know, I've just got my fair share of vitamin D,
Yeah,
which was beautiful. So I hope that I'm topped up a bit for this period until the clocks change and we're back to normality where the light comes earlier. So yes, and seasonal affective disorder affects a huge amount of people. But let's just bring this to a close now.
yeah.
Um, so I just want to thank Chris for joining me and sharing his experiences. And thank you, all of you who joined us and interacted and made your comments and so forth. Please do keep in contact with myself and also to Chris, and for any of you who want to be on my broadcast. So again, thank you so much for Chris for joining me. Thank
Pleasure
you.
as always. I'm looking forward to doing more. I feel there's some very juicy topics to chat about. So
Oh yes, absolutely. No, absolutely. I hear you. I mean, you're welcome back anytime, definitely. So, well, until next time, if I don't speak to you now, have a fantastic Christmas,
and
and
you
New Year,
too.
and we'll speak soon. Take care.
Definitely.
Bye.
Take care. Bye bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye. Okay, so that was Chris. Thank you so much, Chris, for joining me um, to discuss his opinions and his thoughts. And for any of you who want to be part of my broadcast, which is called Stop Sweeping It Under the Carpet, I think the title of the broadcast speaks for itself. And I thought, you know, I think